Before writing, there was no history, only memory. And memory dies with the people who carry it. When the Sumerians pressed marks into clay around 3400 BCE, they didn't just record grain counts. They gave civilization a permanent voice. Law followed. Hammurabi inscribed a code that said even kings were bound by rules. Greece gave free men a vote. Persia built the first empire large enough to connect the ancient world. Paper arrived in China, then maps, then the compass of ideas that would take centuries to spread. The University of Bologna opened in 1088, and it still stands today. Every piece of knowledge that survived the ancient world did so because someone, somewhere, found a way to write it down. For thousands of years, the oceans were walls. Then Gutenberg's press made knowledge scalable, and within 40 years, Columbus sailed west into the unknown. Vasco da Gama found the route to India. Magellan's crew circled the entire planet. The world discovered it was round, connected, and smaller than anyone had imagined. The first newspaper appeared shortly after, and for the first time, strangers in different cities read the same story on the same morning. Everything before the steam engine was powered by muscle, human or animal. Newcomen changed that in 1712. Watt made it better. And within a generation, factories replaced fields as the center of human civilization. America declared independence and gave revolution a blueprint. France declared that rights belonged to every person. Jenner proved a disease could be defeated before it arrived. Haiti proved an enslaved people could build a free nation. Britain abolished the slave trade, and then began the slow, incomplete work of abolishing slavery itself. The first steam railway ran in 1825. The first photograph froze a moment in 1826. The electric telegraph sent a message faster than any horse could carry it. Surgical anesthesia meant that for the first time in history, a surgeon could take their time. In less than a century, the world had been rebuilt from the foundations up. The telephone let voices travel through wire. The light bulb pushed back the night. Edison's Pearl Street station proved an entire city could run on invisible power. Then came the Benz patent motor wagon. 3 wheels, 1 cylinder, and the end of the horse as humanity's primary means of land transport. New Zealand became the first country to let women vote in 1893. 30 years before most of the world followed. Marconi sent a signal through the air without a wire. The Lumiere showed a moving image on a wall, and the audience ran from the approaching train. At Kitty Hawk in 1903, 12 seconds in the air changed every border on the planet. Ford's assembly line made the car affordable and invented mass consumption. Then came the Great War, and poison gas, and the brutal discovery that industrial progress could be turned against humanity itself. Russia fell to revolution. Radio brought millions of strangers the same voice at the same moment. Lindbergh flew the Atlantic alone. The jazz singer ended the silent era overnight. Fleming's contaminated petri dish became the most important accident in the history of medicine. The world had never moved faster or broken more completely. Uruguay hosted the first World Cup in 1930 and won it. The BBC began broadcasting moving images into British homes. Then the world split again. In a German laboratory in 1938, Otto Hahn split the atom and opened a door that could never be closed. Chicago Pile 1 proved nuclear energy could be controlled. Trinity proved it could destroy a city. Hiroshima and Nagasaki ended the war and changed what war could mean forever. The United Nations rose from the rubble. Gandhi proved an empire could be defeated without a single shot. Israel was reborn after 2,000 years. The age of competing superpowers had begun. Europe began its slow unification with coal and steel. The comet made the Atlantic crossable in hours. Hillary and Tenzing reached the highest point on Earth. Watson, Crick, and Franklin revealed the double helix, the molecule that carries every instruction for every living thing. The first kidney transplant proved a body could accept a stranger's organ and survive. Calder Hall began turning atomic energy into British electricity. Then Sputnik beeped from orbit, and the space age began in a single night. The Trieste sank 11 kilometers to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Gagarin saw the Earth from outside, and nothing looked the same after. Tereshkova orbited 48 times. Engelbart built a wooden box with a wheel and invented the mouse. Leonov floated free of his spacecraft. Barnard gave Louis Washkansky a new heart, and it beat for 18 days. And then came 1969. "600 million people watched Armstrong step onto the moon. The same year, a message was sent between two computers at opposite ends of California. It said, 'Low.' The system crashed after 2 letters, and the internet had begun. Salyut 1 proved humans could live in orbit. Ray Tomlinson chose the @ symbol. Intel put a computer onto a chip the size of a fingernail. Pong had 2 paddles and a bouncing dot, and built an industry worth hundreds of billions. Apollo 17 photographed the entire Earth, and the image became the most reproduced photograph in history. The Apple II brought computing home. Louise Brown was born, and so was reproductive medicine. The space shuttle landed like a plane. The Dynatak was heavy and impractical, and made every smartphone that followed possible. The wall fell in 1989, and within 2 years, the Soviet Union followed. Berners-Lee published the first web page. Nobody knew what was coming next. GPS was handed to the world in 1995, and the world was never lost again. Dolly wasn't just a sheep. She was a question about the limits of biology itself. Deep Blue beat Kasparov at chess, and the world started asking what machines couldn't do. Google didn't just find information. It changed how humans think about knowing things. Wikipedia proved that millions of strangers could build something no single expert could. The Human Genome Project took 13 years and 3 billion letters to read humanity's instruction manual. The iPhone put a computer, a camera, a map, and a phone into a single glass rectangle. Netflix began mailing DVDs, then made the DVD obsolete. Android brought smartphones to the next 4 billion people. Satoshi Nakamoto published a white paper under a name that may not be real and invented decentralized money. CRISPR gave science a find and replace function for the code of life. SpaceX landed a rocket on its tail. AlphaGo beat the world champion at a game with more possible moves than atoms in the universe. The Event Horizon Telescope photographed something that devours light. An mRNA vaccine proved itself in less than a year. ChatGPT reached 100 million users faster than any product in history. And in a laboratory in California, a fusion reaction gave back more energy than it consumed, for the first time in human history. The oldest dream in energy science had finally been proven possible.